I'm Ron.
And I'm John.
And this is your news for November 25th.
And now time for your world news. A New York man was charged with murder after allegedly pushing a Bronx resident to his death from a subway platform. The 34-year-old male pushed a 61-year-old male off the platform and in front of the oncoming subway. He was pronounced dead at the scene. There is no speculation on whether it was an altercation between the victim and the suspect.
A group of mass protesters stormed Hong Kong's government center early last Wednesday, using metal barricades and slabs of concrete to smash the windows. Others charged the police line, causing police to respond with pepper spray. The protesters are angry due to China only allowing Beijing candidates to run in Hong Kong's election for chief executive in 2017.
Corvette takes a stand against Mother Nature's attempts to destroy its extensive collection of historical Corvettes. GM has decided to restore 3 of the 8 cars swallowed by the massive sinkhole. The first of the 3 to be completed, it had the least amount of body damage. The 2009 ZR1 Blue Devil had a small crack in the windshield with small scratches in the paint.
U.S. Thorods has announced that they plan on taking the title for the world's tallest roller coaster with the skyscraper, which stands at 570 foot high. This ride will tower the current holder of the record, King Dakar, which stands at 456 feet tall and reaches speeds of 128 miles per hour. Skyscraper will only go to 65 at certain points. Oh, and the price tag for this build is $90 million and should be done in 2017.
And now let's send it off to Sunny with the weather.
Hey, it's Sunny and I'm here with the weather. It's going to rain today in the morning, but that should clear up by the afternoon when we get out of school. It's a pretty chilly 41 and not quite as warm as the weekend, but it's nothing compared to last week. Today in 1896, it was 75 degrees and sunny. Too bad it's nothing like that this week. Tomorrow, it's going to be about the same temperature without the rain, so it'll feel much better. On Thursday, it will be closer to 50 degrees and mostly sunny, which will be good for your Thanksgiving traveling. And on Friday, it will be sleeting and 40 degrees. Now back to the guys in the studio.
It's gonna rain. And now time from I'm Ron.
And I'm John.
And this is your news for November 25th.
And now time for your world news. A New York man was charged with murder after allegedly pushing a Bronx resident to his death from a subway platform. The 34-year-old male pushed a 61-year-old male off the platform and in front of the oncoming subway. He was pronounced dead at the scene. There is no speculation on whether it was an altercation between the victim and the suspect.
A group of mass protesters stormed Hong Kong's government center early last Wednesday, using metal barricades and slabs of concrete to smash the windows. Others charged the police line, causing police to respond with pepper spray. The protesters are angry due to China only allowing Beijing candidates to run in Hong Kong's election for chief executive in 2017.
Corvette takes a stand against Mother Nature's attempts to destroy its extensive collection of historical Corvettes. GM has decided to restore 3 of the 8 cars swallowed by the massive sinkhole. The first of the 3 to be completed, it had the least amount of body damage. The 2009 ZR1 Blue Devil had a small crack in the windshield with small scratches in the paint.
U.S. Thorods has announced that they plan on taking the title for the world's tallest roller coaster with the skyscraper, which stands at 570 foot high. This ride will tower the current holder of the record, King Dakar, which stands at 456 feet tall and reaches speeds of 128 miles per hour. Skyscraper will only go to 65 at certain points. Oh, and the price tag for this build is $90 million and should be done in 2017.
And now let's send it off to Sunny with the weather.
Hey, it's Sunny and I'm here with the weather. It's going to rain today in the morning, but that should clear up by the afternoon when we get out of school. It's a pretty chilly 41 and not quite as warm as the weekend, but it's nothing compared to last week. Today in 1896, it was 75 degrees and sunny. Too bad it's nothing like that this week. Tomorrow, it's going to be about the same temperature without the rain, so it'll feel much better. On Thursday, it will be closer to 50 degrees and mostly sunny, which will be good for your Thanksgiving traveling. And on Friday, it will be sleeting and 40 degrees. Now back to the guys in the studio.
It's gonna rain. And now time for some school news.
Last Monday, students were given an early glimpse of winter as Bullitt County had its first snow day of the school year, being the earliest snow day in recent history. Many quickly reacted on social media stating things such as, "We're going to be in school till June," just like last year. It wouldn't be a surprise to many considering the Farmer's Almanac predicts that the U.S. will suffer an even worse winter than last year. The makeup date is currently set to take place on Friday, March 20th.
Last Tuesday after school, 2 unknown adults were caught on campus at around the time of dismissal and appeared to be under the influence. Mr. Foster was notified and contacted Bullitt County Dispatch immediately. Not only were these people under the influence, they were also in possession of illegal drugs. The 2 then cited and taken into custody later that day.
Lately, the office has noticed that there have been more and more tardies and believe that it is becoming a bit of an issue. The faculty requests that students do their best when it comes to arriving to school on time. With the weather getting a lot worse as of late, it is not surprising that these tardies are occurring, but everyone is expected to plan accordingly.
Hello, I'm Tyler.
I'm Austin.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is
Your Red Zone Sports Report.
First, your pro sports buzzer beater round.
Shout, let it all out.
In pro sports, Adrian Peterson has been suspended by the NFL for at least the remaining season, and possibly even further. Peterson is appealing the decision in order to be allowed on the field as soon as possible. Was this the fair ruling by the NFL commissioner?
No, absolutely not. Adrian Peterson is not guilty. He's a great guy. Maybe he was just punishing his kids because they were acting up, but like any decent parent would, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, I don't think it was that much of a – it's not like he brutally, beat them up. I mean, but that's what people like to look at it as. I disagree. All the forms of children abuse, this is definitely the most absurd case I've ever witnessed.
It's difficult to tell what extent this child abuse took place. It's really hard to know for certain. I know no child should ever have to fear their parent, but I also know that kids do have to be disciplined. And it's hard for the NFL to be able to tell really how bad was this. Maybe it was really serious. We don't know. But then again, maybe it's something that wasn't very extreme, and now he's banned from the NFL because of it for the rest of the season. I don't think that just off of what they've gathered, I don't think that this controversy should be affecting his team or his teammates.
Like you all, I agree. I disagree of the courts finding him guilty of child abuse. However, the NFL has to react according to what they find in trial. It's obvious that parenting has changed since the 80s, when this would be considered a normal practice for parenting. And like I said, the NFL has to act. If not, Roger Goodell, already under much scrutiny for Ray Rice and Matt Prater and the like, if he doesn't react, it's obvious that he's also going to be frowned upon once again. When it comes to the ruling, though, suspending AP for the rest of the year is only about a 5-game suspension. Anything past that, I think, is a little too overwhelming, whereas I think 5 games would be just fine.
Yeah, I agree. Taking him out of the rest of the season really affects Minnesota Vikings a lot because he really is a very good and talented running back. So, Austin, what do you think that's going to do for, where is that going to take, Minnesota Vikings from now without AP?
I mean, I do agree that Roger Goodell does have to react to the situation. You can't just let things like this run amok in the NFL. As for the Vikings, I think they're still a relatively strong team. I think they have a shot in the playoffs, but Adrian Peterson's definitely one of their key players, so they're going to be struggling without him.
And now, we can't sit here and say that Adrian Peterson's going to make a huge impact on the Minnesota Vikings this season. Adrian Peterson hasn't played since week 1. And, I mean, it's not going to take a big toll because for the last 11 weeks they've been playing without him. Teddy Bridgewater's finding his stride with Matt Asiata and Jerick McKinnon in the backfield. I don't think it's going to impact this season. I don't see them being a playoff team by any means. I don't see AP coming back next year to Minnesota either. If he does come back next year, if the NFL allows it, I do believe that he's going to be playing for another NFL team.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I agree with the fact that because he hasn't played since week 1, it's not going to directly affect their season so far, but I do think it would have a positive impact on their season if he was allowed to come back.
Absolutely.
And now on to some news from the White House.
Charles L. Sifford will be awarded on November 24th with the Medal of Freedom from President Obama himself.
Sifford is the first African-American PGA member, and he is known as the Jackie Robinson of golf, pioneering and breaking down racial barriers.
So how old is this guy? Like 90?
He's in his 90s.
Well, that's pretty ancient. I think if you're 90 years old and you're a man, that's an accomplishment itself. And getting that award from Obama, being the first black president in the Oval Office, that's very cool.
Well said, Nick.
And now over to the field report.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Paul.
Today we're going to find out if we think the school's going to have a successful basketball season.
Kenny.
Kenny, are you in the red zone?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the red zone. I just like to see teams go clashing against each other. I just like seeing teams just go clashing. I like to see the Miami Dolphins try to beat the Ravens one day. But that's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Do you think that this year's basketball team is going to be good enough to go to Rupp?
I think so. Pretty much.
What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team?
Well, last time they lost. But tomorrow I know for sure that the basketball team is going to win for sure.
All right, and do you think the red zone is going to be as big and live as it was last year?
Probably so. Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's going to be big and it's going to be loud.
Sweet. Thanks. Thank you very much, Kenny. I'm here with
Owen Robinson.
Little O. Are you part of the red zone for the basketball games?
Yes, sir, I am.
Do you think that this year's team's going to get us to Rupp?
Absolutely. I feel like we've got some pretty good depth on the team. I feel like our guards will distribute the ball pretty well.
Sweet. What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team?
Well, we lost some pretty key seniors, but I think we're going to bounce back with a pretty solid team and hopefully win region.
All right. Think the red zone is going to be as big and live as it was last year?
Absolutely, if not even better.
And we're going to go all the way to Rupp, right?
I'm here with
Tyler.
And Tyler, are you a basketball player?
Yes.
Do you think the basketball team's good enough to go to Rupp this year?
Yes, sir, I do.
Why?
Well, a lot of reasons, but mainly because of this man right here. He's a big part of the team.
All right, and what's the difference between this year's team and last year's team?
Well, we lost Rhett, Ezra, and Blake, so there's the difference. And he's a little bit more manlier this year, BK, and he's really developed into a force also.
All right, and do you think the red zone will be as hype as they were last year?
It better be. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, there you have it.
All right, Mia, I'm here with
Allie.
And Allie, are you a basketball player, Meow?
No.
Okay, are you a part of the red zone, though, Meow?
Yeah.
All right, do you think that our basketball team, Meow, is going to make it to Rupp this year, Meow?
I do.
Okay, what do you think is the difference between, Meow, this last year's team and this year's team?
I feel like we've just improved a lot. We're more experienced.
Okay, you think the red zone, Meow, is going to be as good as it was last year?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Allie. All right, Meow, I'm here with Jared Reeby. Jared Meow Reeby. And Jared, are you a basketball player, Meow?
I am not, sir.
Okay. Do you come to the games, though?
Yes, sir.
So you're part of the red zone?
I guess you could say that.
All right, Meow, do you think the red zone's going to be as good as it was last year at the basketball games?
Definitely.
Okay, Meow. Do you think the team's going to be good enough to get us a field trip to Rupp this year, Meow?
Definitely.
All right, sweet. What do you think is the difference between this year's team, Meow, and last year's team?
I think they're a lot younger. Of course, I guess they can't really be younger.
All right, Meow. Thank you, Jared.
All right, Meow, I'm here with
Jordan Lowe.
And Jordan, are you a basketball player?
No.
Do you go to all the games, Meow?
Yes.
do you think this year's basketball team is going to be good enough to go to rep? Meow.
I don't know. It depends on how they play.
Do you know what the difference between this year's team and last year's team is, right, Meow?
Not really.
All right, that sucks, Meow. All right, Meow. Do you think the red zone is going to be as good as it was last year?
No.
Why, Meow?
Not as many leaders.
We got one right there, Paul Eldridge. He's the best leader we have. What do you mean?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like that this year.
All right, Meow. All right, Meow. I'm here with
Morgan Vaughn.
All right, Morgan and Meow. Are you a basketball player?
No.
All right. Do you go to the basketball games right now?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you think the basketball team will be good enough to go to rep this year?
Yeah. T Sharp's a baller.
All right, Meow. What's the difference between last year's team and this year's team, right, Meow?
Well, I haven't watched the scrimmages, but either way, we're really good, and we're going to beat every team by 40. Yeah.
All right, Meow. Do you think the red zone is going to be as good as it was last year?
I don't know. Last year's was pretty good, but now that I'm going to be there, it's going to be even better because now I'm popular. So, yeah.
All right, Meow. Thank you.
I'm here with
Mr. Foster.
Mr. Foster. Do you think the team will be good enough to go to Rupp this year?
Absolutely. I think losing in the finals of the region last year and being as close as we were against PRP and a lot of talent returning, and I think both of our teams could end up in the state finals. The girls wouldn't be at Rupp. They're at Bowling Green. I'm not sure the name of the arena there, but I think both teams are ready.
So do you believe we're better than last year?
Absolutely. I think our players and coaches have worked hard over the summer and have committed and ready to roll.
Do you think our red zone is going to be as good as it was last year?
We will be as good as the red zone leadership.
We have Paul Eldridge. I think we'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Meow, I'm here with
Mr. Huber.
Meow, Mr. Huber, are you a basketball player?
Used to be back in the day.
How far back in the day, Meow?
How old am I? Let's see, 38, so 18 years ago, played in high school.
Do you think this year's basketball team, Meow, has a chance to make it to Rupp Arena?
Let's hope so. It'll be my first time getting to see them there. I'd love to see Bullet East there.
Sweet, me too, Meow. What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team?
I wasn't here last year, so I don't know. It's a good question. What is the difference? Who are we missing?
Meow, we're minus Rhett and Ezra, but we'll make up for them, Meow. Do you think that the red zone is going to be as good as it was last year?
I heard it was sometimes 400 or 500 strong last year. Let's hope we can be that strong again this year. I want to see 500 of you all doing silly things like meowing at me.
All right, Meow, thank you. All right, Meow, I'm here with
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. Meow, are you a basketball player?
Yeah, but no.
You don't play for this school, Meow?
No.
All right, Meow. Do you think this year's team's going to be good enough to go to Rupp Arena, Meow?
Why are you meowing, bro? Why are you doing that?
I'm not meowing.
Bro, yes you are.
Do I look like a cat, Chris Brown? Am I drinking milk out of a bowl?
Meow. Meow.
Meow, I'm not. What?
Meow.
I'm not meowing. But anyways, do you think that the red zone's going to be as good as it was last year, Meow?
Yeah.
All right. What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team, Meow?
There is no difference.
Thank you, Meow. So it seems like the school's got a lot of confidence in the basketball team this year. And so do I.
One week from the end of the regular season, the College Football Playoff Commission will begin to commence their meetings in order to determine the four-team system. Who deserves to be in the playoffs?
Well, I guess I'm first. So for number one, I have Alabama Crimson Tide. They beat an impressive Mississippi State last week. And Florida State is number two. They still remain undefeated, although they've been down in the halves. I think with their offense and defense together, they are very good, and they should be fine. So here's my surprise. For number 3, I have the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Although they have lost twice in the SEC, they should be number 1 in the SEC East, and I predict that they should win the SEC championship. And for number 4, I have Arizona State, after they totally romped Notre Dame, who is a good team, and they proven to be even better.
Initially, I'm going to say that we're probably all going to have Alabama and Florida State as the number 1 and number 2 teams. Alabama is just an amazing program, ridiculous as always, and they're just always a tough challenge to take them down. It's always a big deal when Alabama gets put down. Florida State, number 2, they've had a really odd season, actually, and then, of course, the point-shaving scandal from previous weeks, especially in the Louisville game. They come out really slow. I think they're just a really slow first half team, but they're incredible in the second half, and they pull off wins really well. For my number 3 team, I'm throwing in the Oregon Ducks. Their defense may not be the top in the country, but their offense more than makes up for that. They're scoring no less than 31 points a game all year with only 1 loss and 8-1 record. And then for my number 4, I'm going to go ahead and go with Baylor with an 8-1 record, ranked 7 currently. I think they're going to pull it off with a win against TCU, who is currently ranked above them. I see them coming from the back of the pack as an underdog in this playoff.
I also agree. It's a unanimous decision to have the Alabama Crimson Tide in first place. With a Heisman-worthy quarterback in Blake Sims and an incredible defense, as usual. The Tide have pulled it together at the right time. They lost early in the season. Pulling off a stretch with Mississippi State, beat Mississippi State at home. There's not a doubt in my mind that they deserve the number 1 ranking. Number 2, the Oregon Ducks. Arguably the most explosive offense. Baylor's up there with them. I do believe Oregon has probably the most explosive offense. As Austin said, 31 points a game is hard to keep up with. I love the Ducks at the number 2 ranking. At number 3, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. How do you keep Mississippi State out of your all top 4 is beyond me. You lose one tough game to the Alabama Crimson Tide at Alabama, arguably the toughest place to play in by 5 points, less than a touchdown. Dak Prescott, a Heisman candidate quarterback, most likely to win the Heisman if you ask me. Dak Prescott led them. They were down, 19-0? Came back and lost by 5, 25-20. Can't keep them out of top 4 at all. Number 4, Florida State Seminoles. They're undefeated. You have to respect them for that in the ACC. But other than that, questions on can they put 2 halves together? That's the main point. That's the main cause for them being number 4 instead of higher, maybe number 1, number 2. Jameis Winston, yes, he's a Heisman quarterback. Heisman numbers this year, I don't think so. He's still putting up good numbers, but you put them in a 4-team tournament system with the Alabamas, the Oregons, and the Mississippi States, even the Arizona States. Can they fall behind like they have against Louisville? Can they fall behind like they did last game? I don't see them being able to beat a team like Alabama, a team like Mississippi State in 1 half. There's just no possible way for them to pull that off. That's why I have them at number 4. Going back, Georgia Bulldogs, possibly a bit of a stretch. Sitting two-loss team, arguably the best 2-loss team out there. They will retain the SEC East, get a shot to play for the SEC championship. If they do pull it off, they'll have to defeat Alabama, of course, which would shake some big things up actually in the actual the race itself. If the Georgia Bulldogs were to compete with Alabama and take home the championship, without a doubt, they could be in the 4-team playoff system.
So yeah, this is how it would have to happen. Right now, Missouri is actually up in Georgia in the SEC East. Well, the problem with that is they will be playing Tennessee, and I think that Tennessee will beat Missouri. Even though Georgia had already killed Missouri, they're still above them. So I need Missouri to lose. So then, therefore, Georgia Bulldogs would be number 1 in the SEC East, and therefore they would play Alabama Crimson Tide. And I believe that if Georgia and Alabama had to play, I would say that Georgia has a very good chance of beating Alabama, even though star running back, Heisman runner since the beginning of the season had torn his ACL, Todd Gurley, last week against Auburn in a big win, 28-7. So you take a good team like Auburn and Georgia plays them and totally blows them out. I mean, it was just crazy. They were scoring touchdowns like it was nothing, running all over Auburn's defense. Another thing, Oregon is the most overrated team I know. They only have good players because of their equipment, and that's the only reason why they even get any lick of 5-star recruits is because of their money. It's all about money in Oregon, and they are not about football. Their defense shows that. You take an SEC team like Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, teams like that, they are all around way better than Oregon, and that's why you have not seen Oregon square up in national championship, and you always see 2 SEC teams, ACC, SEC, East Coast rules college football.
Now, I got a question for both of you. Nick with Georgia in his top 4 and Austin with Arizona State. If they're playing on a neutral field and Georgia's playing Mississippi State, Arizona State's playing Mississippi State, how does Mississippi State not win that game?
Well, actually, I think you might have seen that wrong. I don't have Arizona State in my top 4, and I completely agree, actually. I had Baylor as my number 4 team, and I do agree that Baylor would have a tough time with Mississippi State. And it was actually a tough run for me. I was actually really undecided on whether or not I should have Mississippi State in my top 4. But I love the idea of an underdog, and I really like the idea of Baylor coming up from behind and being that underdog team to come back. But my real question is, how can Nick deny the offense of the Oregon Ducks and their productivity this year?
Well, I mean, they're a good offense, but look at who they've played. That's what I'm saying. Like, they haven't faced teams that have powerhouse defenses. So you have to take that into account. You have to know teams that they've played and how would they square up against teams that would have really good defenses like Stanford. They lost to – or not Stafford, Stanford. They lost to Stanford, and that's their one loss. And that's why I don't believe that they should be in the top 4.
The fun part about this is that when the committee gets together and make their decision, it's going to be before the Heisman race comes to an end. So how fun would it be in a 14 playoff system to see 4 top Heisman candidates? You have from Alabama, you have Blake Sims. From Mississippi State, Dak Prescott. From Florida State, Jameis Winston. From Oregon, Marcus Mariota. You have all these top-notch quarterbacks in the 14 playoff system. I mean, that's partially the reason that I put those 4 teams in my top 4, because you have 4 of the great quarterbacks in today's game squaring off against each other, and for the ESPN, it would contract more viewers for them as well. But the thing is, that's not for us to decide as a team. The committee gets together in less than a month, and it'll put this whole decision to rest.
And now, over to the Coach's Corner.
This is Isaac with the Coach's Corner. Today we're here with Miss Wood to ask her a few questions about the dance team. So first off, Miss Wood, we'd like to ask you, what does it take to be a dancer here at Bold East?
There are several things that I look for with tryouts, skills that you need, dance skills, tumbling skills. Experience helps. We do take a technique class, so that helps a lot too. Just it's case by case, depending on what I see at tryouts.
And do you guys have any upcoming competitions that we should be on the lookout for?
We do. We're competing in Jefferson County in January and in Bardstown in March.
Okay. Do you have any star seniors that may be a bit of a loss for the team?
All 3 of my seniors are a loss for me. I've gotten really close with my 3 seniors over the past few years, so it's going to be very hard for me to lose them when they graduate.
And do you have any underclassmen that may be stepping into the position for those seniors?
Really, all of my girls are going to step up. I've got some sophomores that have some great leadership skills, and I look forward to what they're going to bring to the team next year.
And what does the dance team bring as a whole as far as school spirit for sports?
We plan to be at every game, every home game that we can be. Huge support for the girls and boys basketball teams. We had a great football season. So we'll just be there to cheer on the Chargers. Go Chargers.
And we'll be here to cheer you on. Thank you, Miss Wood.
Thank you.
This has been Isaac with the Coach's Corner.
And now over to the play-by-play.
This is the first time Louisville has played Notre Dame, and it was on Notre Dame senior night.
To put Louisville up 14-3 on Louisville's second drive of the game, Reggie uses his legs to score his second touchdown of the game. Louisville picking off its 23rd pass of the year against a mistake-prone Everett Golson. Notre Dame special team sets up with pretty good field position, and Everett Golson completes a pass on 3rd and goal to Corey Robertson. Later, Reggie throws a 21-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Parker in one-on-one coverage. On the next drive, Brandon Radcliffe runs for 15 yards for a touchdown. Then on 3rd and 13, Everett Golson runs away from the Louisville pass rush and throws a 28-yard touchdown pass that was tipped in the air by Terrell Ford and caught by Will Ford. Point conversion was successful. With 57 seconds left to go in the game, Notre Dame misses a field goal that would tie up the game. Louisville would go on to win the game by taking a knee. Louisville would go on to win the game 31-28. Starting off with Kentucky's two-platoon team, they are playing against the number 5 team, Kansas Jayhawks. The Kansas Jayhawks have either proved one of two things: that they're a sorry team, or that Kentucky is one of the greatest college basketball teams to play the game. The Kansas Jayhawks have either proved one of two things: that they're a sorry team, or that Kentucky
On to Teeny and Alex with your sports calendar.
Good afternoon, this is Teeny and Alex with this week's sports calendar. In the NFL on Sunday, November 30th, we have the Patriots versus the Packers, Broncos versus the Chiefs, and Cardinals versus the Falcons. Now on to Alex.
And for college football this week, on Thursday, November 27th, we have LSU and Texas A&M. On November 28th, we have Arkansas versus Missouri. And then Saturday, November 28th, we have Louisville versus Kentucky.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be a good one. Go Cards, baby.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Austin.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Lauren.
And this was
your Red Zone Sports Report.
And remember, go Cats.
At 1C4.
Go Dogs. Sick 'em.
Roll Tide.
We are building a religion. We are building it bigger. We are widening the corridors and